first time since 1969, the Sports Car Club of America's National Championship Runoffs returned to one of their historic homes, Daytona. Welcome to the 52nd SCCA Runoffs presented by Garmin Verb at Daytona International Speedway, brought to you by Mazda. The run for the medals begins now. SCCA's National Championship Runoffs presented by Garmin Verb. It is an event that everybody always anticipates from the very last checkered flag of the previous year. But this year, there is one race in particular that has everybody licking their chops. It is the first ever race under the lights in Runoffs history. It is time for Friday Night Lights presented by Mazda, the run to the medals for Spec Miata. Hi, everybody. I am Greg Creamer, joined by Dorsey Schrader. And Dorsey, this is going to be absolutely incredible. 62 cars turned in times for this race. And just to throw a fun little wrinkle at things and get this thing even curiouser and curiouser, we have had now for the last 15, 20 minutes a persistent light drizzle out on this track.
Hats off to John Doonan, who
absolutely
put this thing together for Mazda. They paid for the Daytona Speedway to turn these lights on. It's not like you turn your bathroom light on. It's like turning the whole city's bathroom lights and the rest of the house, too. This is going to be the coolest thing. There's fans everywhere. I've been on the Internet. There's fans looking at this deal. I mean, this is a big, big, big event. It's going to be awesome. Racetrack's wet, slippery. This is going to be a memorable race. I don't know for a bad reason or a good reason.
That's going to be, you can see the shine there up on the banking. This is going to be interesting. There's a third member of our broadcast team. His name is Hayward Wagner. And speaking of Mazda, he is standing by with none other than John Doonan.
John, my phone is blowing up. I'm getting text messages, emails, everybody is asking me what's going to happen. Have you ever seen this kind of excitement for a club race before?
I haven't, Hayward, and we couldn't be more pleased to give this opportunity to the fans that have come out, the corner workers, the staff, and certainly our racers. There's a group of 60 Spec Miata drivers over there that are just jumping for joy, and the excitement of the opportunity to race at Daytona is one thing, but to race under the lights is takes it to another level.
Now, obviously, you've been involved with Mazda for a number of years at the pro level. You've been at Daytona when Mazda has won major professional racing events. How does Spec Miata fit into this Mazda racing world for you?
Well, the heart of everything we do in motorsport is grassroots racing. So our staff gets to go to about 3 dozen race weekends a year, but there's none better than this. When you see these drivers from all over the country come together, we're like a family. It's a Mazda family. And literally tonight we've got executives from corporate, we've got Mazda dealers, we've got people watching all over the world to see the excitement of Spec Miata at night.
But watching all over the world is certainly the case. The live streaming video. What's your prediction? What are we going to see tonight?
Well, throughout the week we saw one thing, and that was drafting. Pods of 2 cars hooked up. Unfortunately, the rain's going to add a little extra excitement to it. We don't pick any favorites, but I've certainly seen Danny Stein go to the front in the rain. He did it at the June Sprint, so we'll see what he's got tonight. But, this is for our customers. That's what our program's all about. The customer experience with Mazda is very important to us, and driving matters is our latest campaign, and tonight driving's going to matter.
Well, for myself, for everybody on the broadcast team, for the thousands of people that have stayed tonight, that have decided they're not going to the hotel, Outback can wait, they want to see this. Thank you so much for making this happen.
Well, we're pleased to do it, and all we hope for is a good, safe race.
All right, back to you guys upstairs.
Thanks very much. And again, for John, when we say presented by Mazda, Dorsey, you're right. If they weren't doing this place would be dark. So that's truly presenting something special here. And he brought up a good point. Pod racing. 3 cars is too much. 1 car, you're slow. 2 cars together has been fast. Talking to Jim Drago, he said, you really can't pick anything here based on one driver. You have to pick based on the best 2-car tandem. He said, I think myself and Craig Berry, we're the best, but there's a couple that are equally as good or certainly close. He said, but you have to look at duos. That's kind of unusual.
You got to look at cars that are like cars, that they handle pretty much the same. Yep. The guys like doing the same kind of things on the racetrack. There's going to be pushing, bump drafting. Bump drafting is allowed. You can push another guy. If you turn him, if you send him down in the infield and you take that position, you're going to get a penalty. But other than that said, these guys are going to learn about drafting here tonight. And I don't know that 2 cars is going to be good enough. It's been good enough in practice and so forth. But when you get 57 of them out there, or 60, whatever we got, I mean, it just keeps, it's a lot different. I've done enough time here, Daytona 500s, that's only 40-something, 43 cars. This is a lot bigger now.
Oh, man, this is going to be interesting. And here's an interesting stat for you, too. We got 62 cars that took times. We think everybody is starting. John Doonan referenced the attraction of one racing at Daytona. Certainly it has brought some additional members. But racing under the lights here, Friday Night Lights.
In the rain.
Presented by Mazda. Well, yeah, before we get to that, because that's something that's maybe not quite as attractive. But out of the 62 cars, Dorsey, 30 of them, this is their first runoffs.
That right there is amazing, too. I mean, all of them, it's their first time, together as a group on this hallowed ground, this
Absolutely.
Daytona Speedway. And half of this is wide open, oval, drafting, multiple drafting. It's different for these guys. It will be a spectacle. There's no question about it. It's survived the first 9/10, and then here we go.
But in this weather, I think it brings the twisty bits, the infield and the bus stop, even more into play here, doesn't it?
The weather at this racetrack, I've run here in the rain during the 24 hours several times. It's not a horrible racetrack in the rain. You can actually run up by the wall. It's relatively dry up there. It's transitioning off that bank into the infield that things get real dicey. Some of those corners, are really, really slippery. It should be worth watching today.
Oh, no question about that. There is such a buzz going on here. I'm sure there's a big buzz that continues down in pit lane, Hayward.
Guys, I hate the pun, but it is electric. And Tuesday night it was electric for qualifying. I was back in the Spec Miata paddock about a half an hour before they went out, and everybody in the paddock was looking for a dance partner. They were looking at each other's data. They were figuring out who had the matching exit speeds at the bus stop and at turn 6. You want to find somebody who exits those corners at the same speed that you do. That's what's going to give you the pairing down the straightaway. Talking to Mike Collins this afternoon, he said that on Tuesday night it was prom night. Everybody was looking for a date. They were going to be with that date the whole night. That was their guy. Because of the way they qualified, you're going to be lining up beside your prom date, because everybody who ran with somebody turned an identical lap time as their partner. So as we bring these cars to the line, you're going to see everybody with their ideal drafting partner beside them. Now, if they get reshuffled in turn 1, Mike had a different term that I'm not going to use on the air, but it implied that you would be changing partners relatively rapidly, and that's probably what's going to happen as they pull up onto the oval for the first time.
The rain is a big factor right here, because all those plans are out the window with this rain. We don't know what kind of setups everybody's put underneath these cars. We still have a little time before green flag, about 7 more minutes. Is somebody going to get brave and go out there on slicks right now? It's not raining right now, and it looks like that was just a passing shower that came through. Or do you want to start on full wets? I mean, a pit stop kills you here. You're not going to come in and switch. Whatever you go, it's not raining now.
A little bit of rain right there, actually. We could see it, but it's not heavy.
But again, this racetrack dries itself pretty well because of the banking. What do you want to do? I mean, guys right now are going to make a decision that's going to win or lose this race for their team.
Well, and this is about the most treacherous of conditions. It was a hard rain, you know what you got. If it's dry, obviously that's optimal. But here, you just get that greasy little shine.
Well, you got the
on
oil.
The track.
Oil came up out of the racetrack for sure. It hasn't rained hard enough to even make a puddle anywhere. So right now, it is in fact, like you say, the worst possible scenario.
And in that duo we were talking about, Jim Drago, who we had talked about, the only guy, by the way, to win 2 national championships in Spec Miata, and his partner, Craig Berry, they both drive for E Street Racing. Berry in the number 29 Safe Racer Mazda Miata, and Drago in the MazdaRacers.com Miata, 14th and 15th on the grid. That's what Hayward was talking about locking up together. But at the front, Andrew Carbonell in the 79 BSI Racing entry, 87 Seth Rollin, BSI Racing, Rossini Racing Miata, Alex Bolanos, the 57 Momo Autotechnic Apex Alignment, that's also a sponsor on Rollin's car, is third right now. So they're up there in the front. They know each other very well. And the other thing you look at, the top 5 cars on the grid, all from Southern Florida, all in the Miami Daytona area that have track experience. That's huge too.
Oh, no question about that. This racetrack changes so quickly once they get out there. I don't think we're going to see any jet dryers or any of that business. I think they've got a choice to make right now, which is, which tire do I go with? Do I go with a slick tire? Do I go with a full rain tire?
Yep. And this being a spec class, Spec Miata, it's one of the few classes here that does not have an open tire scenario. You're running Hoosiers in this class.
Yep.
And so at least you've got that consistency. Now, we're going to put up for just a moment here a look at the radar screen here. A lot of people say, well, what's the weather going to do? My answer is depends on which app you're looking at. But we're going to take a look at the radar here. And what the story we're seeing is it looks like this might just blow out here in short order. And that's what we want to see.
We're 20 miles from the ocean. I mean, this happens down here all the time. You go out there, it gathers up, some clouds gather up a lot of moisture, they come dump it, then they're done.
Yep.
You know, it goes away for a while. They could do it again. But look at this, as you look at the sky right now, there's not really ominous clouds all around. It might have just been what we need to have the slipperiest conditions in the world.
Well, exactly. I mean, it was just one great big thick cloud that was just sitting right over the Speedway here. So one thing we've been treating everybody to here as we get ready for these races is our Garmin Verb Fast Lap, an onboard look during one of the qualifying sessions. They had one night session. It was Tuesday night, and Todd Lamb in the Atlanta Speedworks Speed Shift Trans Mazda Miata gave us our Garmin Verb Fast Lap, Dorsey, and in qualifying, in traffic, this is spectacular.
Well, this is what you're going to see all day, or all night long, I should say, is somebody right in front of you, somebody alongside, somebody behind. This is going down into the trioval. You lose the effect of the banking here. It drops to 17 degrees. But more than that, when you head down into turn 2, about where you have to put on the brakes here, you get onto a complete flat area. This will be extremely slippery in the wet. This will be the worst part, trying to get through this corner. Turn 2, very, very fast. You rocket through. Every car is flat out as you come around the end of this wall. And you set up for the slowest corner on the track, which you would think would be easy, but this is the slipperiest piece of asphalt in the world, this corner right here. More spins right here. You have no aerodynamic downforce. It's very mechanically low grip right there, and you want to get on the throttle early. Usually you'll see big spins right there.
Called the International Horseshoe.
Yeah, International Horseshoe leads to the fastest, the kink. This one you got to think about for the whole lap because it's really scary to run through here flat out, which you probably do in these cars. Then it's hard braking to a trickier corner, and you would think it's a 90 right, but it falls off camber at the exit, and the car wants to push out into the grass. You'll say, ooh, got the neighbors, and that happens too. So coming on to the next corner, this is the corner leading on to the banking. It's extremely important to carry speed through here, but it's not as easily said than done. You see the pavement change right there. It's easy to light the tires up, get sideways, and if you have to lift while going up this banking, it's a bad situation.
And then here it is dancing with that partner. I mean, you just got to get a draft.
You set up your draft right here. You get with your buddy. You know, you get tidy as much as you possibly can. And you're running down this back straightaway looking for the entrance to the bus stop. Bus stop chicane, a great place to pass. Well, I could have used some more room there, but thank you. Anyway, right down here, you see the markers up on the driver's right.
That was good evidence of how much that draft makes a difference.
Absolutely makes a huge difference. 90, just like flick to the left, flick to the right, straighten the car up, flick to the right, flick to the left. You want exit speed right here, and then you slam back up onto the bank again. Now, these cars are not quick enough to meet the whole entire racing surface. They should run down on the bottom. The only problem is there's 57 of them.
So you got to find some room, and if that takes you high, that takes you high. Eric Stearns, who is the defending national champion, said he found out when he came here and ran a majors race in May, he said, running by myself 122 miles an hour through the speed traps. With another partner, 136.
Yeah, we've been watching 10, 11 mile per hour, 12 mile per hour all day long when in a bump draft versus by yourself. You know, you see the banking through here. The racetrack is going to be full of cars. That's the deal. You know, you're not going to have the just go it where I want to go. Look at them all line up. It looks like a coffee and cars deal, but it's not.
It does indeed. Yeah, like a car show, and we are just about ready. It's going to be a spectacular show. And one thing to keep in mind, folks, is when you start watching the racing here, the cameras we're using, the ability to iris open a bit, makes it look a lot brighter than it is out there, but the track is going to be lit basically exactly as it is for the Rolex 24 that is run here. So it's it's all on.
And believe it or not, they don't even turn the lights to their full capacity because they don't need it. It lights up like a city in here. I think they run 40% lighting for the 24 hours Daytona, and I ran that this year. It's not at all hard to see from the car. Looking out, it's easy to see around here.
Interesting, just a couple of notes here. Eric Stearns, your defending winner, who won last year at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, starts back in 23rd in the East Street Racing, again, the EDS 24-hour Mazda Miata. You've got a 4-time national champ. Ironically, never in Spec Miata in the number 70 of Elvin Goulart. You saw him up alongside that number 70 in the SAC Racing, SCDA1.com Hoosier. He's won lots of national championships, the most recent one in F production, but never again here in the runoffs. Matt Reynolds but all the national champions buried back a little bit outside of the top 10. It should make it interesting. That's a good sign as we see the moon starting to pop through the clouds, and perhaps this rain is done and things will start to dry out. While we wait, we're going to step away for just a minute here at Daytona International Speedway. Stay with us. We've got something special coming up. The 2015 SCCA National Championship Runoffs, presented by Garmin Verb, is being brought to you by Mazda. Mazda, driving matters.
16 wide eyes. Driver's license, took 2 tries, bought a Roadster secondhand. Playing parties with the band, loaded up, off to state. Hijinks, tailgates, starter, midsize. Family cruising. Now in the garage, something new reminds you of when you were you.
It's time to face facts. You're a gearhead. You wish the freeway on-ramp was your personal racetrack. Well, buckle up, buddy, because the Sports Car Club of America wants you. With 40,000 members and events across the country, the SCCA has all the excitement you can handle. Dance the blacktop two-step with SCCA Solo. Get down and dirty with SCCA Rallycross. Or go wheel-to-wheel with SCCA Club Racing. Hit the track with the SCCA, where America's best drivers race.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. Absolutely beautiful image here as we bring things into focus for this run to the medals in Spec Miata. It is Friday Night Lights, presented by Mazda, a 14-lap, 40-minute, whichever comes first in terms of time or laps for the national championship in Spec Miata. Let's get back down to Hayward Wagner in a very intense pit lane.
Guys, I'm here with Tim Gilvin of Hoosier Tire. Tim, what do you expect guys to roll off grid on?
We're really on probably sticker tires. It's really not wet enough for a full-blown wet race. It looks like the rain's moving out off the radar screen. So, I mean, the banking dries pretty fast.
You know this track reasonably well. What are your expectations as far as grip as it dries?
It's going to be decent. It's going to be a good, fast race.
Do you like your odds for an all-Hoosier podium?
I think we'll sweep this one.
This is one they don't have to worry a whole lot about. Thanks for the information, Tim.
I concur with Tim. It has not rained hard enough to have any puddling. It is not raining presently, and the way the cloud cover looks, you're going to go out on stickers or on slicks. And with that being said, the first few laps of this race are going to be incredibly, incredibly slippery. Not so much up on the banking. The banking dries fast, but when you transition down to turn 1, all that rubber out there turns into oil. It's going to be this is a race where you have to just take your time for the first third of it or whatever until the track starts to dry, then make your moves. People who get antsy at the beginning of this, we could get a lot of cautions real quick.
Well, and the other side of it is as the track dries on that narrow line, it's going to be grippier and grippier, but you move off to make a pass or you get forced off, it's still going to be slick out there. And if you hit that grass that's damp, big-time rides.
Good point. No question. You move around somebody, they never give you the inside anymore. You have to go to the outside. The outside's going to be wet. It's going to have a lot of debris and stuff up there that you're in already. It can be a handful. I mean, this is the worst scenario. It is not dried up enough to have grip, and it's wet enough to just have oil on the surface.
Does this track have, like some, a very specific rain line that differs from the dry line?
Not as much as most road race tracks. I mean, definitely up by the wall. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it didn't rain much up there, and everything runs downhill, so you can run around up there on top of the banking. When you get down to the infield, certain places have better grip than others on the outside. Turn 1's just horrible, without a doubt. That international horseshoe around the outside of that, big rim shot there works really well. It's just it's a unique racetrack.
Hayward is busy down in pit lane. What do you got, bud?
I've got the owner of BSI, the shop that has the front 2 cars, the front row locked out here at Daytona for the Spec Miata Championship race. Stu, talk a little bit about your mindset going into this race. What are you expecting out of your guys?
Well, I think it's a crapshoot. I think whoever's going to be leaving the bus stop coming up to the checkered flag is one who's going to win. My guys got a lot of experience here. I think what you're going to see is the guys that are from Florida that have raced here year in, year out. We've raced here 3 times a year on a regional basis. These guys have a lot of experience here. I think the guys who do have a lot of experience, Auto Technique guys, Corey Cullum, Alex Bolanos, I think they're also in it. I just think you just have to be there at the end, and you have to have a teammate. You have to have a partner. He's got to be with you consistently. If the door opens for one car, you better bring your buddy with you. If you don't, we're in trouble.
Now, we sat down with Andrew and Celine after their qualifying session earlier in the week. They were talking about the excitement they had on the radio coming into the knowing that they had a great lap. They've said if they have a shot at the end, they're turning the radios off. What do you expect from those guys as far as the ability to control that adrenaline and drive through those last couple of laps?
Well, I mean, you have Andrew Carbonell, who's a professional driver, obviously leading the points in ST Continental Series. I have a lot of faith in him. Celine's a little younger, but I believe that with coaching over the radio with Andrew, I think we're going to be fine. As far as I'm concerned, it's any man after the bus stop. Stick together as teammates up to that point. After that point, whichever one wins will be fine by me.
Well, good luck to you and your team. And, folks, if you wonder why a team like BSI does so well at an event like this, take a look what they've got right here. It's almost done raining. It's very light. We just talked to Hoosier. Hoosier said this is a dry tire race. 4 sets of sticker rain tires ready to go just in case. Those who fail to prepare to fail.
Well, and that's exactly right. If conditions change suddenly and this rain picks up, that's just another big wrinkle. And he makes a good point. You know, Sellon, who he was talking about, outside of the front row. He talked about Corey Cullum, who's 4th. He talked about Preston Pardis, who's 5th. Jonathan Goring, who's had a tremendous amount of success over the years in this category. All of those guys, though, this is their first runoff start. So, but obviously some serious track knowledge here paying off for a few of these drivers. The other thing I wanted to ask Dorsey was, you know, when you're doing pack racing, you know, whether it's 2 cars or you're just running in a big pack, and it's very close quarters, which we always have in this class, you're driving through that guy's windshield or maybe the next 2 or 3 windshields. Now you got spray coming up, so visibility even more affected. What does that do when you're pack racing with spray?
That is a really big problem, no doubt about it. Anybody but the front row is going to be eating more and more and more of that mist. I'll tell you where it comes in really handy right now, too, at this racetrack anyway, is having spotter, a really good spotter. Yeah. You need those guys to be able to tell you, because of that mist like you're talking about, because of all the cars around, your visibility is reduced. You have to be told clear, clear, clear when you start cutting and thrusting through this traffic.
Just got word from race control, 5 minutes to the roll-off. So everything looks now to be set. Obviously, they just delayed things a little bit to make sure that the teams could, if they wanted to, make any kind of tire selection choice that they wanted to here. Everybody now seems to be set in what they want to do. The word, as we heard, coming from Hoosier right now, you really don't have much of an option. You want to be on a sticker, dry tire, and just hope that rain stays away.
And then pray for half the race to go your way. It is going to be a hard job for these guys to stay clean, you know, until this track gets to there. Look right there. You see the spray coming off that car? Well, that's plenty wet right there. I mean, he's throwing a rooster tail of spray.
Yep.
So for the first, say, 8 laps, probably half the race, 7, 8 laps, it's hold on and then see what you got.
It's going to be interesting, isn't it? I mean, it's so counterintuitive for a race driver and certainly some of the club racers out there to be patient. Don't go crazy. Just get through the first few laps, let things settle, then start to go racing.
You know, get your good start, fall into line with somebody that you can trust, and ride until things start to dry out and you get a feel for your car, get a feel what the racetrack's doing, and then, you know, assess your situation, make your move.
Opportunity here. There's a look at some of the great workers. Again, this is not just a showcase race for the drivers here at the SCCA National Championship Runoffs, presented by Garmin Verb. It's a showcase for every volunteer member of SCCA. It's a club. That's the key word. It is a club. All of the members here, for the most part, are here on their own dime. They are volunteering. This is a passion that they have, and it starts in tech, at registration. It ends at tech, and every specialty in between. And, of course, the workers that are out there in the mix are most often those quarter marshals that are out there in harm's way, providing direct information and assistance to the drivers. But to a person, we need to say a big thank you. This is a huge undertaking, and to every volunteer that is a part of this club. Oh, yeah, that is a part part of this club, a huge thank you. And again, for being willing to stay a little bit later into the evening here to watch this one. But I don't think anybody's upset about having to stay and watch this.
There is more of an electric vibe about this racetrack this weekend, and this race in particular is pushed to the limits way above. I mean, everybody. I was in the motorhome park, and people, when I came out to come over, they said, "What time does it start? What time does it start?" You know, I said, "Another half hour."
Yeah.
You know, and they're getting ready to go up there by the fences and crowd in, which I think is probably not smart. You know?
Exactly. And the word from race control, 1 and go, which basically means the grid marshals now have the clock and they can let it go.
Conehead.
And there you go. Well, that's one way to keep the rain off of the old noggin. Let's check in with Hayward one more time before we go green.
Guys, we've seen some amazing racing so far today, some really good fields. This is what a qualifying sheet looks like at the runoffs. For most classes, this would be a pretty full sheet. For Spec Miata, that's page 2. This is page 1. 61 cars qualifying for this race tonight. The biggest field at the event, the most exciting race of the event, going live right now from Daytona International Speedway.
And I hear there's one of those credit card swipe machines down there in pit lane for parts. Goes straight to the part department of Mazda. So, you know, when you pull in and get the assessment done, you just swipe
and get the new bumpers
get what you need.
Absolutely. And just to throw a little motivation into it here, there's not another race after this one until the next season starts. So
I was going to bring that up.
One race for all the marbles for a national champion.
At the fastest racetrack they've ever run on, one of the most prestigious racetracks in the world, in the rain. Can I add anything more?
But no pressure.
Right.
Boy, I'm so excited about this. This is going to be spectacular. And it's going to take a while just to release this massive field from the pre-grid. Here they come onto the front straight, lights ablaze. Now, there's been another thing that's been discussed here. Obviously, you've got cars of varying vintages that run here in Spec Miata. Some have the pop-up headlights, some don't. All of this drafting and this long run here, there's been talk about, is there a disadvantage that's significant with those pop-up headlights? I mean, that's how close they're playing the numbers here.
Luckily, because there's so many cars, there wouldn't be as much of a disadvantage because you always have somebody to draft with. But, you know, if you're the lead car with the pop-up headlights, probably, you know, I saw some pretty ingenious things being done, like they do at NASCAR. You know, body fit is huge here.
Yep.
So I've seen guys taking where the hood fits the fenders and taping that or you know, sealing the edges of all that stuff. It makes a big difference. You're talking about the cars are going to run at their ultimate speed. The terminal velocity for the car will be achieved here today. Like I said, with the V-Spec car, you could drop it from 35,000 feet out of an airplane and still go just that same speed that's going to run here today.
Yeah, it's just
going to be
as fast as it's ever. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And so what you're saying is even air going through a seam in the bodywork can slow you down.
Yeah, I mean, that was something I learned back with Sports Renault, Spec Racer, Ford, whatever. You have to take advantage of every single little thing to make that car as clean as possible.
Did you know that guy sitting next to you on the grid did?
Yeah. Oh, and you see how slippery that corner is. I told you about International Horseshoe. You could spin a shopping cart there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I remember I was having some fun corner working at the Rolex 24 a few years ago, and I was working at turn 6, the turn that leads up onto the banking out of the infield, and I think in the first 10 laps of that race, I called in 20 spins. I mean, it is greasy.
It's astronomical. You can't believe how slow you have to go to not spin out there. And, of course, the rest of the racetrack's really, really fast, so you're used to going fast. You get to that corner, and you went like – I had the clutch in that spot.
Yeah.
You know, how can that be? It is glass.
Well, it's going to be interesting here as they are going to be out and around. And then again, it's 14 laps or 40 minutes. Should easily get to 14 laps, I would think, barring any long cautions. And, you know, it's basically a flat-out sprint.
I would be suspect of that pace car for 2 reasons. A, we don't know who's driving it. And B, it's got a number on it.
Well, good point.
And it fits the class perfectly.
It fits the class. It's just the newest, latest model.
So if the 5 wins this race, I'm calling foul.
I know. Well, yeah, that'll be, I'm sure, appealed.
Probably.
Right off the bat. So, yeah, I mean, that's, you know, a great point. I mean, that's the future of the Miata. That's the new ND, the one that is just now the brand new Miata. And they have now, for the MX-5 Cup, they have that MX-5 Cup car as being tested for the new Global MX-5 Cup Series, which is going to be running next year. Not only a North American Championship, which is run for a number of years now, but Europe and Asia as well. And it's all that new MX-5 platform. It's going to be great stuff, and it's nice to see that car out and leading the field.
Quite amazing accomplishment for Mazda, what they've put into this. John Doonan and his group of guys, put on a fantastic show. This will be no exception to the rule.
Yep, the busiest and nicest group of guys in motorsports. Certainly John Doonan. He has to be beaming himself to some of these locations.
His idea, turn the lights on. They're paying for it, this to happen. Yep. And everybody owes them on this one.
Oh, absolutely. And look at this field now. Coming out of Speedway Turn 2 down the super stretch, they get a look now at that bus stop and just what the grip levels are. And on these pace laps, especially in these conditions, you're exploring a little bit. What kind of grip do I have where?
Yeah, and right now I would think they don't really have much choice of anything. I mean, you're more or less a reactionary driver in this situation. We're going to get a green flag, things are going to happen, and you're just going to play off of the things around you until you can get a good reading on what's happening.
And it was interesting, in that night qualifying on Tuesday, the only night session, it was cooler. Everybody knew it would be the fast one. And Andrew Carbonell, for the first 5 laps of that, was never higher than 26th. The next lap, pole.
Yeah,
and Sellen came with him. They found the right gap and hooked up correctly.
That's why you can't take this qualifying just take it with a grain of salt.
Yep.
Because you get that one good run with a partner, and it can move you up half second, 0.6 of a second.
Yep.
Now, you can't do that through the race.
Exactly. Well, lights are out on the pace car. It is about to commence. Friday Night Lights, presented by Mazda at Daytona International Speedway. The Friday feature, if you will, of the 2015 SCCA Runoffs, presented by Garmin Verb, in the coverage of this 52nd running of this great event, is brought to you by Mazda. Tonight is presented by Mazda. Friday Night Lights. Look at the size of this field, those.
Well, we're pulled way back with that camera, and we're not even covering the field yet. There's guys still behind that camera.
Yeah, it's just an immense field here. They're just now coming out of Speedway 4. You've got this run that leads into the super stretch. Pace car will make a late move down into pit lane, and then Andrew Carbonell has to maintain the speed of that pace car until the green flies. And everybody's got to be, even in these Spec Miatas, not the most powerful cars in the world, but you've got to be careful jumping on the throttle here in these slippery conditions. Pace car is in, waiting for the green. And we are green. We are racing here at Daytona. And immediately, that is Corey Collum. And that yellow machine popped out from that 4 starting spot right away, going to 3 abreast here and down to the inside. That is Carbonell, but here comes Collum. He has cleared the second and third qualifiers. Collum going with him here. Now, hard onto the brakes, down into turn 1, and a big slide. Everybody so far hanging on to it, Dorsey.
That was very impressive. Very nice start, orderly start. Everybody clear through turn 1. I would not have. No, there's a car backwards in the wall right there in turn 2.
Oh, boy, and it looked like Collum was. He did. He cleared Andrew Carbonell. So a phenomenal launch there. Also for the 156, a good run as well, as they now through that international horseshoe and heading toward the kink for the first time.
See if we're going to get any kind of full course yellow there. Obviously, one car was run backwards in the wall. I don't know about more than that.
Boy, that was a phenomenal launch, timing it well by Corey Collum. And let's see who slots into that second spot here. Came up from a bit back as well. It's running the 156, and we'll give you an update on who that is. I think that's Todd, that might be Todd Burris, who got an absolutely phenomenal jump. Wow, yeah, that's why I couldn't spot him. He started in 11th spot, Dorsey, and on that start is now second.
That's quite amazing. Corey Collum, I mean, driving it like he stole it for sure, which I would too, because I'd be afraid, all those buddies of mine behind me. Look at this, good draft, 2-car draft. Now, if these guys will work together, they can actually pull away from this whole pack. I would do that right now if I was them. And let's not race with each other on the first lap. Let's try to get away from all these idiots back here.
Yeah, clear it. I mean, that's exactly right. Clear it out here. You've got an opportunity. You've somehow been able to make that kind of a break. Don't throw it away now by getting aggressive and just wanting to lead. Yes, they are.
Look at that. Just nice 2-car draft. That's fast. We know it's fast. And they're going to play discipline.
Now down into the bus stop for the first time at speed. Nice job by both of those drivers, understanding what's at stake here. Ooh, Carbonell back in, steps out just a little bit. That cost him momentum up onto the banking.
Good save, though. He gathered it up right away.
But did cost him a spot, but not much here. And he's now in the middle of a red Miata sandwich at this stage. And again, now that car coming up behind him. We have heard the word. You can go ahead and bump drift. I would think in these conditions, though, a lot easier to upset a car if you hit him and obviously loosen him up.
Yeah, the rules of the game are that you can go up at bump draft or you can push on someone. If you turn them and send them into the infield, you're going to get a penalty. If you wreck them, you're going to get a penalty. If you take the position because you pushed them and got them loose, you're going to get a penalty. Other than that, it's all free.
Yeah, and Andrew Carbonell actually able to get back and around and into that third spot right now because Sellen Roland actually chose Carbonell as they came up here instead of Bolanos. And when you're together in that pod, as John Doonan so aptly referred to it here, the two cars, that paid off and it just pushed Carbonell. It wasn't a bump draft, it was just arrow push, took him right back up into third. And there you go, boom.
That was in the middle of the corner there. That one you have to watch out for, particularly when it's wet like it is. These tires doing a really good job. I'm impressed with the amount of grip that's available.
Boy, you know, and Elvin Goulart is in the 6th spot, Dorsey. He started in 17th. So we've had some guys that just played that start, and it was just they just went to the outside and drove around a lot of people.
Probably the name.
Yeah.
I don't think he came from here.
Yeah, it's just amazing what they're doing here. 4-time national champ, as I said, just never in this category, but a good run there as Alex Bolanos now just hounding this black and blue number 79 of, again, an awfully talented driver, Andrew Carbonell. Ooh, running way, way wide there, but giving himself some good momentum. The only question is the track limits regulation there. They've been fairly comfortable letting him run pretty free up in the 6th there.
He's been running that line like he's trying to modify drain line more or less. Andrew Carbonell working the high side to see what kind of grip. I think that was a bit more than what he wanted. I think he tried it and it took off on him.
I think so too. And boy, right now, Elvin Goulart is flying. That's the 3rd car in your frame. Again, started 17th, sits 6th, and is in that draft now and closing right up on the back of that 57. That is the red Momo entry of Alex Bolanos. Love that speed shot as you get that spray blowing up as they head by into the bus stop. Ooh, look at this is again Carbonell better that time through the bus stop, and he gets that little bump from Bolanos, and here comes Goulart, and now we've got that first 3-car draft at this stage. Let's see how well that works.
Well, they're getting braver, let's put it that way. They're willing now to push one another. So they felt the car underneath them. They think it's okay to do this.
See, and this is what they were saying. The guy said when you get a 3rd car in the picture, the 3rd car just loses everything and just drops back. Goulart had a great run out of the bus stop, but when those 2 cars in front of him hooked up, for some reason that 3rd car cannot take advantage of that.
It would only work if the 3rd car was able to touch the 2nd car and stay locked together like that, which we might see later on in this as we...
Oh, I'll tell you, though, it is bringing... Oh, here we go. Bolanos down underneath. Carbonell down into turn 1.
And already left traffic as he gets wide right there in exit of turn 1.
Oh, boy, this is close stuff. Meanwhile, that car first in your frame, your leader, Corey Collum, you could barely see Todd Burris in that white number 156, who started in 11th and sits behind him. As a matter of fact, boy, for a second there, I thought Burris might work an outside pass there. And now Bolanos up into 3rd, and he's gone around. Yeah, off to the right.
Somebody spun there in the grass. He should be able to get going again. I'm pretty impressed with the amount of grip. I mean, these guys are not running a rain line. They're running right on their normal line. A little loose right there for the 2nd place car.
A little bit of a flat slide, but I mean, you would expect that. Boy, they are pushing the envelope. And here comes Bolanos, that 3rd car, the red Momo entry, chasing down the Krispy Kreme 156 of Todd Burris. And Todd, I mean, we've seen Todd race a lot of different things. He's raced in the Continental Tire Series. He's raced in World Challenge. Look at this, Bolanos going for it all here, and he may just have made that work, Dorsey, down to the inside. Collum in that yellow and blue car swings to the outside, but that opened up and let Burros come through. And now those two running side by side, opportunity here for Bolanos to break away just a little bit.
If I was a white car, I'd lift a little bit right now and tuck back in behind. That's not doing anybody any favors side by side like that.
Yeah, well, and obviously Column right now is going to. There he goes. Yeah, Burroughs. I think he realized if he didn't do that, those two are going to team up and just break free.
Absolutely. You got to think ahead of where you're at. Somebody in the pits here with trouble.
Oh, that's frustrating for sure. Haven't seen the car number yet. That's I think it was Justin Elder. They said I just heard. So a problem there. Boy, that's frustrating. All the work you put in to get to the runoffs. Boy, Column there. Now there's a little puddle over there. That's just that little divot for people that run wide. But boy, did he get a run, and he's got Burris coming with him. Does he do it? No. Burris says, I had too much speed.
Burris, here's a problem. You go for a pass attempt, but you have to be able to have somewhere to go if you make it. He would have had to pass both those cars. He obviously couldn't, so he ducked back down. It would have been better just to brush the brake a little bit with your left foot, keep the throttle wide open, and stay tucked up underneath. It's cost him 2 car lengths.
Yeah, boy, this is just fascinating. These drivers said it. 2 cars are great. 3 cars, that third car just disappears right off the tail. And this is pretty interesting stuff here. Bolanos, what an event he's been having here. Again, qualified third, dropped back to about 5th or 6th, and has fought his way right into the lead as they head down turn 1. Now through the S's.
You can adjust your speed just by brushing the brake, just putting your foot over there and getting rid of the speed that you don't want. But you don't want to lift off the throttle because you lose the full momentum. The engine's got to spool back up to get it back. It takes too long. The other way works really well.
Burroughs, a great run out of the S's, and now he's going to try the outside pass on Column through the International Horseshoe. Does he make it stick?
That's brave.
That sure is brave, but it worked, I think. Now
well down here because they can't go through here side by.
Well, we've seen them do it. That's what we said in a race earlier, and by golly, they did it, and they do right there. So. All right, here we go. Boy, Burris just staying to the outside. He's finding grip out there, Dorsey. But there, notice he's got one taillight out. You have to have at least one working, so if he loses another one, that's a stop.
If you're a nasty guy, you just go out there and
tap that other one.
And knock that other one out.
And Burris completes with a big lurid slide. That's it. That's a momentum killer.
Yeah, he killed his momentum, but it was a good handful of wheel there.
It was a great save, but it's just going to...
That's a really tricky area down on that flat. You want to get to the throttle early, but boy, as soon as it breaks free, you really can't do anything. But what he did right there is unwind his steering wheel and use up the road.
And guess who that is? Just giving him a little tap there. That's Elevin Goulart. Once again, 17th now to 4th. And Elevin is one of the more aggressive racers out on the track as well. So this could be fun. Hayward, what are you hearing in pit lane?
Guys, I just went up and down the pit wall. I talked to every single crew member that was wearing a headset, asked them who they were talking to, what they were hearing. Radio silence across the field right now. These guys are busy. Their hands are full. They're not coordinating with one another to try to set up drafts. They're running with who they're close to. I asked all of them if they said anything about grip, if they said anything about conditions, and just shaked heads. Nobody's doing any talking. The only other thing we have is the 51 cars here on pit road. Lost a pulley, lost a belt, overheated, so he's done.
No, that's so frustrating again with what's going on. But that makes sense to me. You don't want to just, let your concentration dip and just push the radio button right now.
When a driver's being quiet like that, he's got full concentration on what he's doing. That's the rain factor right there. They really need to just, they know where they are right now, especially this group.
Yep.
2 cars of 2 draft in each. Goulart really been banging the back end, and that's okay, of Burris.
Well, and look what it did. They were a ways back, Dorsey, and it's brought them right up now to that group and made it a 4-car battle again. And on the way, Goulart just set fast lap of the race at a 2-minute 34.061. So a great lap by Goulart.
I suspect he lives in or around where it rains every day.
It might be, yeah. He's pretty comfortable with it. Look at this move now, diving down to the inside of Burris. Now, we know Burris works the outside very well. But if Goulart now can come up and latch onto the back of Corey Column.
And he has.
Yep, there you go. Now, really, Burris, if he gets...
See, I don't agree with Burris right here, going down the inside to this left-hander. They're doing it, yeah, but they're slowing themselves up to be able to do it.
I think at the last second there, he said, all right, I'll do it.
I'll just pass all you on the outside then. And that Dorsey doesn't know anything.
Well, he just gets these great heads of speed. He's just, he didn't lose much. Up a little bit there. Ooh, and he just got in, just tapped the 70 of Goulart.
Yeah, he's on the edge of having a disaster. It just hasn't happened yet.
There he goes again. Remember, he's loose right there that last time. What's your phrase? It's erect. It just hasn't happened yet? It's gonna?
It's fixing to.
Well, once again, they have to do it all over again. And when Burris got sideways out of turn 6, they lost that 6-7 car lengths, and now Goulart's got to just get onto his bumper and drive him forward again.
Look how clean, Bolanos and Collum are. They are hooked up together, driving a real nice, tidy line. They're trying to get away from that stuff behind them.
And we know Alex Bolanos, an amazingly talented, experienced driver in runoffs. How about Corey Collum in his first runoffs?
Yeah,
running. I mean, he looks like a very savvy veteran.
Oh, he's tied up with somebody who is a savvy veteran.
Well, that's true.
And that's what you want to do. I mean, why learn from somebody who's not the top?
Yep. And Corey, again, from Cape Coral, Florida, he's got a lot of laps around here. And the nationwide points, interestingly, he was only 42nd in that points tally, but he's got some huge experience here.
Look at that draft. Just pull the car right up into the back. I don't see any dry line even forming yet. I found that that's interesting. But remember, our humidity today was probably something like 87%.
Yeah, it was high. That's
it was really high.
And boy, these two now, they've made a bit of a break, haven't they?
And that's what they were wanting to do, too. See how they're clean? They're right nose to tail, pushing one another.
It looks like Goulart has gone around Burris, and now Burris has to be the one to just be a little patient and work with Goulart. Otherwise, they're going to lose touch with these guys completely.
I mean, they're just not quite as tidy. I mean, you really need to run that draft. Like I said, that if you're like 4 or 5 cars like these cars, if you ran a plumb bob from the right front headlight to the right rear taillight, all those cars should be touching the plumb bob. They should be over here a little bit or over there a little bit. You lose ground that way. You're not getting efficient.
Now, with these cars, though, I mean, when you're running in such close concert, lap after lap after lap, is there any risk then of not getting enough air into the radiators, into the brake ducts, and overheating a bit?
It's been really warm. It's not so much because that rain cooled it down, but it has been warm. I saw that a couple times today where guys had to pop out and start getting some air to the radiator. Yeah, if you're tucked that close, like those 2 cars right there, your radiator is only eating the exhaust from the other car.
Yeah, and that battle we were just looking at, tell you, back in 45th, 46th, the 88 of Michael Lemania, the number 30 of Nicholas Soriano, Alex Acosta, Spencer Rutherford. Doesn't matter where you look here, you find these groups that have picked up and have clumped up. And by the way, last lap, Corey Collum takes away fast lap at a 2-minute 33.559. Second lap, pole, by the way, was a 2:18.6. So you can do the math. That's the lack of grip that's coming into play here.
Those fastest laps should start falling pretty quickly now because things are going to dry out. No rain coming down.
Yeah, you see a lot less spray now coming off of those tires, isn't it? Well, but those two behind, Goulart and Burris, they've calmed down. Burris is not looking in and out all the time. He's just tucked right in, and they're now making ground back up again.
That's what it takes. You want to be just single file, just as tidy as possible. Don't have a headlight over to the left or a headlight over to the right, because that's just adding drag.
And how about Christopher Haldeman, who sits in the 5th spot right now in that number 72 machine, and he has come from a ways deep in the pack, and right now he's doing it by himself. He was 10th on the grid, Dorsey, and he's all by himself and still finding good pace.
That's hard to do, too.
Yeah.
I mean, it just tells you he's got a really strong car. If he had somebody to play with, it'd be a lot better.
And there he is, sitting in 5th all by his own self right now.
Yep.
But somehow he's finding some pretty good pace. I mean, his last lap was a 2:34.3. So, I mean, he's less than a second off of those guys up front. He's losing time, but the guys behind him right now, which includes Andrew Carbonell, your pole sitter, Jonathan Goring, one of the best, Craig Berry, one of the very best, Justin Hilley, who's been phenomenal this year in the nationwide points in his conference as well in majors. They haven't been able to run Haldeman down.
These 2-car drafts are making 127-mile-per-hour runs right now. That's almost 10 miles an hour faster than what they could do by themselves earlier on. So 126, 127, anybody who's tidy in that draft.
Yeah, interestingly, fastest speed we've seen now, that was a while ago, so we don't know if he was with somebody. Was Haldeman at a 132.8.
Now, that's a really good go right there.
That is impressive. Having a look here, and that's that battle we were talking about with Carbonell, that blue and black 79, the 118 of Goring right behind him. And behind him is Craig Berry at this stage, that silver Mazda Miata, and they've got a little bit of room those guys have built up back to the 48 of Justin Hilley. Carbonell, a lot of people were worried about him, but he got passed early there, made that little bobble in the bus stop, and it looked like he was able to save it and stay with it, but he's just fallen adrift a bit.
Andrew, of course, runs a lot of Pro Series in the same kind of car. They could have changed his setup or whatever for the rain. At the last minute, you sometimes you just do a last-ditch effort.
Yep.
Disconnect a sway bar, do something. Try something different. Doesn't always work, by the way.
Yeah, it doesn't always work, but as you said, running in the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge, current points leader in ST here at this stage of the season.
Pro-level driver.
Absolutely. There's a little help from Jonathan Goring as they're trying to break away from, as I said, Craig Berry at this point, then Justin Hill, then in 10th, completing the top 10 right now is the 84 of Todd Lamb, another very experienced driver who's done some pro stuff as well.
Halfway through the race now, there is no spray, and I see a little of a light color going through the bus stop here.
Yep.
So it's starting to dry, and with that, we'll see if one car over the other has an advantage.
And ironically, you see that little bit of a dry line. It means you have to be even more precise because now you carrying speed on the dry line that's above the grip level that you've got. If you get off of that dry line, you better be pretty spot on right now as we go back to our lead battle here of Alex Bolanos and Corey Collum. And I have not seen Corey make one significant step out from behind Bolanos. These two get it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look back behind them, and unfortunately, Todd Burris is just not as clean drafting on Elvin Goulart. He always sticks his head out, or pops his headlight out, takes a look. He's probably not comfortable being that close,
and the visibility,
where you can't see the visibility. Yeah. You see him right here. I mean, they're just not as tidy.
It'll be interesting to see once this dry line gets a little bit more embedded, if you will, if Burris finds that comfort level and is able to stay there. But boy, they get into the infield here and they do close up a bit.
It's like flying in formation. I mean, the C's doing it again right there.
Yeah.
Post to the inside instead of following his teammate. You got to fly in formation. You have to trust the guy in front of you. You do everything he does, and if he runs into the wall, you're going to run into the wall too.
Target fixation sometimes is a good thing.
And they don't have the confidence. You can tell those two guys have not worked together, and they don't have the confidence to be that close.
Well, I think you might be onto something with that Corey Collum. A lot of experience here at Daytona, not a lot of experience at the runoffs. Alex Bolanos, a top flight driver here with a lot of runoffs experience, and I think you're saying, Corey Collum, it's doing two things. One, he's just exactly following in Bolanos' wheel tracks, going, this is how I'm going to learn here, and at the same time, it's being very effective in this draft. But Goulart broke Burris there a little bit, got a great run out of 6.
That's what I've been watching. Goulart just broke the ranks, and now he's caught up. If he can get a little bit closer to the 23, he can tag that team. He's going to lose his teammate back there, but I don't think his teammate was helping him either. I think that Todd Burris was hindering the progress.
Yeah, but again, we see what happens here. You don't get close enough as that third car, they just drop you.
Yeah, you got to force the issue for sure. You got to be right touching on the back bumper.
All right, down through the bus stop as we are working lap 8, just gone by halfway here in this run to the gold in Spec Miata.
See, I don't know if Alex Bolanos and Corey have worked together before. It certainly looks like they do, because watch this. I mean, he just comes in, closes in, makes contact, and they are absolutely welded together.
Taking a look, they have, because they're both running for the Auto Technic team. So they've done this before, and they ended up, they gridded 3rd and 4th, so they were probably a duo in that draft in Tuesday night qualifying.
Perfect two-car draft. They're not messing with each other. They have complete confidence in one another's ability, and that's how you get the job done. And now you look at Elvin Goulart by himself. He's lost touch with the front two, and he's lost touch with his teammate, and the two of them now dropping back pretty quickly.
Corey Collum lowers that time. Remember, it was just a couple laps ago, Doris, they were running in the 234s. It's now a 230.5. Yeah. So the speed's coming.
Yeah, track's drying out. Everybody's got a good handle on their car now. They feel, what grips underneath them.
Up until that point, Burris had a really quick lap at a 231.5, and then Collum nipped underneath it with that 230, and we got some traffic coming up too, I think.
That had to happen sooner or later with 62 cars.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody just had a moment somewhere and lost enough momentum, and we have seen what can happen, and traffic can certainly break up a good drafting duel, and if you catch it at the wrong spot, it can bring everybody behind you right onto year 6 here as they come through once again.
Alvin Goulart's in an awkward situation. He's kind of lost the pull of the front two. He's by himself. His teammate that he was using to go fast before, Todd Burris, is dropped back from behind him. He doesn't want to wait for him. That wasn't working. He was a great draft partner.
And here we go up onto the banking.
And there will be traffic ahead this time.
And I think it might be the number 75 of Michael Collins. I'm not exactly sure on that they're going to catch. And a lot of this comes down to, sometimes where you catch that guy. And this is where the corner marshals that we were talking about with those blue flags, this is where they become serious players in any event, is letting that car that is about to be swarmed here know that you've got some fast race leaders coming up, and let them go, and I think he just did. I think he moved to he just moved over and let them come through.
And that's the easiest way to have things happen. You don't lose time, you don't cost them time.
Look at this now, Colin, just a little bit slower through the bus stop, but close enough. Yeah, here it comes. It doesn't take much to find that hookup, does it?
Look at him now. He could go right around him. With that kind of a run, he could just pass for the lead, but no. I'm your buddy. I'm going to come right back behind you. We're going to just keep running our deal because we don't have, we're not down the end yet.
Yeah.
That was enough of a run. He could have taken the lead right there anytime he wanted to.
I wonder if one of the reasons we're not seeing quite as aggressive bump drafting as we certainly did in the qualifying sessions is because it's at night, and at night you've got to have at least one taillight working, and you hit a guy too hard, knock them both out, you're knocking a teammate potentially into a penalty scenario. So maybe they're just playing a little nicer right now.
I doubt that'll last much longer.
Well, that's true. You get to a certain point. Well, yeah. It's a very good point.
Say somewhere in the next 5 laps that'll all go away.
Boy, this is about as big a margin as we've seen from that front two back to Goulart and Burris. 2 seconds now.
Yeah, they've truly
and Burris has gotten back around the 70 of Goulart.
I think they actually might have made contact with him.
And Burris had fast lap. Now it's pipped by Bolanos, who goes at 2 minute 30.346.
So Burris found some speed there.
He's just now that it's drying up, if the track coming back to him yet?
Yeah, it absolutely could be that setup on the car is a possibility. They're not hurt. They're not helping each other a bit right now.
Oh, Burris wanted the over/under there, didn't he?
Yeah, he still might get it too.
Yeah, he just got a little wiggle there, and unfortunately,
they're dropping back. Yeah, they're racing now for third place.
Right, and Jim Drago has fought his way back up into the top 10. Remember, he had qualified 15th and has fought his way into the top 10. And the reason I say that is something we were hoping to chat a little bit about is the infamous Drago wiggle. We just haven't seen much of it.
No, everybody right now is trying to be as straight as they can get.
Exactly.
It is starting to dry in the banking too. I just saw a pretty clear dry line. So guys that didn't have the right ring setup should start getting quicker.
And Goulart again able to just put about 6-7 car lengths between himself and Todd Burris as they head out of turn 6. You see them heading into the straight. Now this is getting interesting because Chris Haldeman in that 5th place car, the number 72, has been running pretty much by himself, but Goring, Carbonell, and Barry now have sort of borne down on him a little bit, and they have closed that margin up significantly.
Carbonell just tried to have a look to the inside, didn't quite get the job done. But again, we're running out of race time too.
Yeah.
You're going to have to start trying things here pretty shortly.
Yeah, we're working lap 9 of 14 here. And Carbonell, as you said, now tucked right behind that black and orange car of Goring. Carbonell in the blue and black machine. All of them chasing that yellow and black entry of Chris Haldeman, the number 72, the X Factor Racing Carbotech Mazda Miata. And here they come. Yeah, and they're just going to push their way right on by.
Can't defend against that when it happens. You just take it, try to tuck back in as soon as you can behind him, and he does.
Boy, Carbonell just read that beautifully, didn't he? As he just cut through, sort of threaded the needle, and then he's a little bit too hot down into 1. He's going to hang on to it.
Yeah, he got a good save right there.
Boy, and there you just saw again that battle for third. They're side by side again, Burris and Goulart. I wonder if they've just said, well, we're not going to be able to go for the gold.
Yeah, I think that they're not just racing position.
But that's going to put Carbonell now, by my read, he is going to now be up into the 5th spot. And that's a great comeback drive, going from 7th to 5th, just in that one double overtake. And again up front, Burris and Goulart are just, they're almost banging fenders now.
Yeah, it's a two-car for the lead, and it's going to get ugly here pretty shortly. You know, right now they're playing well together, but once they both know it's between them for the win,
yep,
they'll have it out then.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Can't wait to get to it. We still have a few laps, though. About 6 before that happens here, as we're enjoying this battle now between Andrew Carbonell, leading this trio right now, Haldeman right behind him, and then a big wide run there.
I know you shouldn't say what I'm about to say, but
yes,
this has been remarkable with 62 cars that we haven't had any big spins, we haven't had any big crashes, we haven't had any kind of craziness under really trying situation.
They have done a great job, and Dorsey, let's hope that wasn't the old announcer jinx, as they say. That is spooky
I might have
indeed.
said that on purpose, I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, this is great stuff. Woo!
Somebody in trouble there.
That's a lap car right in the front of our leaders. Tried to get out of the way and didn't really balk them too much. Now we'll see whether Goulart and Burris were able to take any kind of advantage of that, and I don't think so.
No, I don't either.
Yeah.
These two guys are working perfectly.
Superbly.
Absolutely working perfectly. You're not going to run them down unless you do the exact same thing that they're doing. And then you'll probably just be equal to them.
Yeah, last lap by Corey Collin. First time now we've got a driver down sub 230 into the 229s at a 229.5. As these two, this has just been phenomenal execution of what everybody said would be the winning plan. It was just who did it best.
Yeah, and they're doing it as good as it can be done. They're doing it perfectly. You know, obviously they must have practiced this. It's not as easy as you think, particularly with the wet surface, to run in tandem like that.
Well, you've got to really be in sync, as you said, in terms of feeling comfortable in the car with these sketchy grip conditions and the like. You've got to be happy to run with a guy that close.
Second place car can't see a thing. He's responding off the back of the car in front of him.
Wow, Jonathan Goring in 6th, though, the 118. Part of that battle we've been following is they have run down Chris Haldeman with Andrew Carbonell. Just turns a 227.8. 227.992. So this track now, we're getting down to some serious grip. Lap by lap, it's improving dramatically.
And you can see it now, lighter color. It's still a one-lane racetrack, though. Like you say, if you're going to make an attempt to pass anyone, it's going to get sketchy.
Working out of the West Horseshoe. Coming up. Dipping the brake here. Crucial corner. It's still pretty damp at the approach to the apex there, isn't it?
Yeah, they're running. You see both of them wagging the tail a little bit. Yeah. So, I mean, they're running right at the edge. But they're really tidy. They're really clean with their drafting. They're really clean with their turn-ins. They're hitting their marks.
Well, you can see there's a couple of spots on the banking now where it's just flat dry. It's happening.
It takes a lot of concentration to do what they're doing. It's not as easy as it looks.
Boy, this is just impressive the way these two have been able to do, just to take this game plan and just make it work.
Now, this probably isn't going to work, because I see like 4 wide back here.
Yeah, this, I believe a scrum might be the best way to describe these guys here. And that, I think part of it is they're coming up on some traffic, and it's
that's
also
Carbonell,
that battle, yeah.
Yeah, and they are coming up on traffic.
Oh, boy, now, yeah, that's Goulart. He is under huge attack now. Carbonell and the 118, they touch, and here goes Carbonell down underneath.
Go right by him. You watch. Right around the bottom because of that contact scrubbed the speed. Goulart tucks underneath him, tries to get the draft. That could have been a big wreck over there.
Yeah, and that's Burris, that 4th car, the white Krispy Kreme entry now, as he just kind of comes up and tucks right in behind the 72 of Chris Haldeman, that blue, yellow and black machine.
3 laps to go. It's on now.
Yeah, it's got to be at this stage.
I wouldn't
actually
stay
5 to go.
Anybody. Not for these guys. These guys are going for broke.
Yep, that's
Here
a good.
3 wide down into 1.
Wow. Boy, this is serious stuff.
Goulart says no. I don't want it.
Ooh,
too deep for.
We've seen, Charbonell Carbonell has overrun that corner a number of times. That time it caught him, and we're anticipating white flag this time by, Darth.
Yeah, it's going to get crazy now.
All right, well, this is pretty fascinating, and Haldeman has been able to fight through and do a nice job as those guys have gone through on Goulart and Burris.
Burris trying to get underneath Goulart again.
Oh, boy.
Didn't make it then.
Yeah, that's that battle for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, but here we go. Bolanos now and Corey Collum, and at this stage, are they thinking, all right, now it's mano a mano?
Yeah, it is. Right now, I think gloves are off. Let's see what we can do. They've got first and second if they don't wreck each other.
Here's third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. And seventh, just back there a little bit, that orange and black machine of Jonathan Goring. That's the Alphas Unlimited Dixon and Rossini Motorsports machine. And again, Haldeman has done a superb job. He had to do a lot of this on his own, and I think you got to give a guy pretty good credit for that.
Good run up ahead for first and second. See if he's going to pass him this time.
And here comes, again, Carbonell
still helping.
Boy, he's giving him a nice push here. I think they're just trying to make a break maybe from that duo that's been fighting behind him here, and then settle it for this final medal spot here.
Boy, leaving everything to the last lap, that's risky too. I think I would have wanted to try it once. Traffic for the leaders.
Free run for third and fourth, and then here is fifth and sixth with seventh, that car of Goring again. And the leaders easily clean and through on this traffic. And again now, this is coming up out of Speedway 4. And boy, look at that. Collum again in that draft just comes right up behind him here. And into the tri-oval this time. We're anticipating a white flag and a bit more traffic up in front.
Let it go to the last lap. We'll see what happens.
Here we go, folks. Watch up in the upper left corner. There
nice
is the white flag and traffic. They're going to catch them right as they get into the braking zone down here of turn one, Dorsey. This could be tricky.
If it stacks him, Carbonell's coming. He's not that far back. He moves out. Good. The car moves out of the way, gives him room. That's nice.
Yep.
There's Carbonell working that outside line. He's in the grass this time.
Yep. Ran too wide. That's going to kill his momentum, and he's going to lose touch. But look what happened here. That little bit of traffic, just enough, and suddenly Haldeman has made this a three-car battle with the lead. He's going for second, Dorsey.
Can he spread the needle? Can he go through there? I don't know. He's got second place for sure.
Wow, what a move by Haldeman. And again, Andrew Carbonell, that fourth car in your frame. This could become suddenly a four-car battle if he can catch just a little bit of a toe here. But what a drive by
Haldeman to the outside.
Oh, and he's going in way, way deep.
But he's got it.
He did it. I wonder if he didn't set his car up for a drier track, and it's starting to pay dividends.
That's an awesome outside pass. Nobody would expect it down there. That's how he did it. And look at Carbonell to the inside. This could be contact down here.
Yeah, I wonder if these guys maybe didn't go with a little different setup that wasn't great in the damp, thinking it was going to dry out.
Second place, Carbonell working to the outside. He's got a momentum run going.
Boy, he does, but look at the escape Haldeman has made. That's 10 car lengths, Dorsey.
Yeah, that's unbelievable right there. Carbonell up to second, but he's got nothing at all.
And Christopher Haldeman, if he hangs on to this, he's had to have done it, a lot of it by himself for a while on this track. What a story it will be here. He started this lap in fourth. He leads by a ton. That now is the battle for your final podium spot, and they are quickly closing. It could become a three-car battle for second, third, and fourth. Behind here they go into the bus stop. That is a look at some traffic again. It's the cars up in front of what we're seeing here right now that are going to decide this.
Less than a half a lap to go.
There he is.
He's gone, man. Whatever he had stored up, he just unleashed it. He's driving away from this entire pack like they weren't even out there.
I think that they played a little bit of a setup game, and it may have been an absolutely brilliant move. Haldeman out of Speedway 4, up into the tri-oval. He started the race in 10th. He started this lap in 4th, and Haldeman comes through. What a battle for second, and Andrew Carbonell somehow carved his way back up into the second spot, and for third, I think Corey Collum got the guy he followed for 12 of these 14 laps.
That was photo finish for third place. I have no idea who won that deal. Carbonell, good job.
And the fireworks unleash here at Daytona International Speedway. Boy, even more lights here for Friday Night Lights, presented by Mazda, and what a race it was, and what a final 2 laps in particular, but especially that last lap by Haldeman.
Look at this.
Here's the finish. Oh, it is going to go to Bolanos.
You sure?
Well, it sure looks like it by, what, a foot at most.
Yeah, maybe.
That was unbelievable here.
Hopefully transponders were working.
Now, just incredible here. Yeah, what we were seeing here, well, they said a visual will override a transponder.
Man, Haldeman, though, I got to tell you, once he made his move, he had so much in reserve, he just literally just went right through that field like it was not out there.
Haldeman was hauling.
Yeah, he was definitely hauling.
Just incredible what he was able to do here today. Fantastic run here. Now they're working through and trying to, obviously scoring is looking at that third place finish here. Wow, what a story that was. Just fantastic here. Now things are cycling around a little bit here. We're trying to
you can't go off our
scoring here at this
scoring
stage, but here's
Carbonell, here's that finish again.
That's Bolanos in the red car.
Gosh, that's close. That's awful close. I mean, from our camera angle alone, we can't really say what happened there. Carbonell, though, we had a great job. He came from way back to come up there.
Yeah, just an incredible run. And I think part of the consternation here might be I'm just trying to clarify here, there's a possibility that the car is very similar colors. Scoring on that last lap turned to 2:24.2. So we're wondering now whether it was actually Jonathan Goring that was able to put that run together. Of course, he started in the 6th spot in the Alphas Unlimited Rossini Motorsports entry. It was a phenomenal run by him as well. And we're just going to have to watch here. Some of the cars still coming around and finishing, Dorsey. But
I am really impressed, Greg, that we did this in the rain. We did this at night. We did this with 60-something cars, and we didn't have any kind of a big deal. I mean, no spins, no crashes. It just really, really bodes well for these guys. Did a great job tonight.
They sure did, and I'm just trying to get an eyeball on the number. That second car in the queue there, I believe that is our winner, and it might just be Jonathan Goring. And either way, it was a staggering last lap. As he turns here, that was Goring. It was Jonathan Goring that put that together. Wow, the color scheme just caught us out a little bit, and I'll be honest about it. But Jonathan Goring, I looked down at the monitor when he flashed through, and it was a 2:24.2. That was the fast lap by a ton that he was able to put together. Carbonell actually got a 2:24.6 on that last lap as well. But Jonathan Goring from the 6th spot was the guy that was able to pull that masterful move off at the end.
And look at these cars, man. Not a mark on them.
That's so impressive.
That is really, really impressive.
I have no idea where I was.
Yeah, listen to that.
I don't think he even knew that he won.
Yeah, well, he just said that. I think I overheard. He said, I had no idea where I was. And clearly, neither did we.
Yeah, right.
Because there goes the Hoosier Tire around the neck. And I'll tell you, what a race, Hayward. And this guy coming from 6th spot to the medal.
Jonathan Goring, you just won Spec Miata at the Runoffs under the lights. What an amazing drive. Talk to me about that last lap.
Well, to tell you the truth, I didn't know that I won. I didn't know that it was the last lap because the radio was really choppy. So I was just driving as hard as I could until I saw the checkered flag. I was kind of confused. It was dark. It was raining. The visibility was terrible. So to be here in the winner's circle is unbelievable, and it still hasn't even kicked in yet.
According to the guys in the booth, you started the last lap no better than 5th. We're not sure if you were 5th or 6th. In the International Horseshoe, some traffic got caught. You got a break. What did you see? What was the advantage you could take there?
Like I said, I didn't know exactly where I was, so my job was, I knew that the race was winding down, and I just wanted to get by as many cars as possible. I didn't know who was a back marker. I didn't know who was for position. So I just went, and I just drove my heart out.
We've got John Doonan here from Mazda Motorsports. He was the first one to come over and congratulate you. Talk about Mazda's involvement in this race. How great was this package they put together for you guys?
I mean, you can't say enough about Mazda. The support that they give the series and the SCCA, the support that they give the Mazda community is absolutely unbelievable. And especially the fireworks at the end. That was cool.
Awesome. Well, you get to take one more lap, so you can jump in. They're going to get you your checkered flag to ride around for your victory lap. Congratulations on the win here in Spec Miata. We need to find Andrew Carbonell. Looking for Andrew Carbonell. Andrew. We spoke earlier in the week after qualifying. We talked about the strategy in this race and exactly what everybody predicted happened. Everybody lost their dance partners. Took you a little while to kind of find your pace in this race. What was the moment where it kind of clicked that you were on that charge to the front?
As soon as it started to dry, big thanks to BSI Racing, Mazda for putting this great event on. It really couldn't have been a better day for us. Started off kind of sketchy with dry tires in the wet, so we were just kind of holding on at that point. Guys with wet tires got away. As soon as it started to dry up, they started coming right back to us. Big congrats to Jonathan Goring over there. Ran a great race. Wish I would have had something for him. I kind of got stuck on the outside of 6, and that was the end of my race at that point. But, really good time. Spec Miata, great class to race in SCCA. Thank you all, and good times.
Coming out of the bus stop, you had a mirror full of cars. You had 2 guys behind you. They had drafting partners. You didn't. Did you think you could make your car wide enough to hold on to the second spot?
Yeah, I wasn't too concerned about that. They were on wet tires. They couldn't roll the speed through the bus stop, so I'm sure my roll speed was a little higher. It was going to take them a little bit of time to catch that speed back up. So I was pretty confident we'd make it to the line in front. I was just kind of disappointed we couldn't get a draft off first place.
Well, big congratulations to you. One more question. A lot of guys in this race have pro racing experience. What's the allure for you to come back to the amateur ranks and run the runoffs here in Spec Miata?
Oh, it's just such a humbling experience. These guys are all full of talent. They all deserve a great shot at this. Big congrats to Jonathan Goring. He gets to now go on and go towards that, Mazda national shootout. So hopefully that goes well for him, and he can one day race next to me.
Excellent. Well, congratulations to you. Guys, I don't know who I'm looking for third place. Do we have a decision on who we need to talk to?
Corey Collum is what scoring is showing here, but I think it may have been Alex Bolanos. So it was that close.
A definite maybe.
Alex Bolanos. Can I get both of you guys? Alex and Corey? Guys, we have no idea who got third. You want to Rochambeau for it, or how do you want to settle this?
I'm good. I'll call it a tie. Without him, I wouldn't have been up there. So,
you guys, everybody came into this race with the exact same strategy. You seem to be the only 2 that were able to execute it from the beginning. Talk about what your game plan was coming into this race.
Yeah, we've been running together all year, and you can't ever leave your guy behind. No matter if you get a bad exit, the draft is everything here. Horsepower really doesn't matter all that much. It's just staying with your guy and talking to him. And we ran the race, but I think the track came to them on dry tires.
I was just looking over. You guys were both on wets. When did you start to feel like that maybe the dry tire cars were going to be a problem for you?
Yeah, about 2 laps ago, we could see them coming in the mirrors, and we couldn't do anything about it. They're just as fast by themselves as we are together down the straightaways, and that's all we had.
It was a heck of a gamble. It almost paid off for you. Congratulations on whoever gets the podium. As soon as they know, we'll know, and we'll see you guys at Victory Circle.
All right, I just want to say thank you to Autotechnic, Alex Bolanos, my family, my wife and kid, my dad, everybody.
You got a list?
Yeah, I do. Thanks to Autotechnic. We always have the best stuff, and Momo, Apex Alignment, all the boys from Florida. It's just awesome. My family's here. It's awesome. So thanks.
And guys upstairs, just so you know, John Doonan called it. He said the 2 cars that broke away were on wets. I went and checked with everybody on the wall, and they said, nope, everybody's on dries. I'm looking at them right now. They were on wets, and they almost made it work.
Well, obviously everybody anticipated, based on what Hoosier had recommended, to see everybody going out on the sticker dries, but a few of them opted to roll the dice and go out on wets, and it bit them at the end. There's the number 118 of Goring in the interview. He said, I didn't know where I was. I was confused. The visibility was bad. We know how he feels because I missed him completely and called it as Haldeman, but it was Goring, and what a final couple laps he put in.
Like I said, at the beginning of the race, the choice of tires was going to make a win it or lose it situation, and of course it did. The dries were the right deal. Jonathan Goring winning over Andrew Carbonell, Corey Collum, Alex Bolanos. These guys fantastic, running all the way down through Elevin Goulart. They put on quite a show.
Well, they did. And then, of course, Sullen Rollin, who started up front as well, a solid run. You go behind him, Todd Lamb, and completing the top 10, Denny Stain. But even though they ended up, one of them third, one of them fourth, I think that's going to be reviewed again yet. But those 2 guys, for the duration of that race, the execution that they showed.
They drove, what hindered them was the tire that they chose. Yeah. They drove a perfect race.
They did.
They did everything you're supposed to do. They did it properly.
Well, here's how it started, and there's the 23 of Collum as he came up from the second row and was able to go right around and make the move right there in Carbonell. Then that moment by Burris, as he had actually split those guys, that let Collum come through again as Bolanos had already gone through. These 2, the 70 of Goulart and the 156 of Burris, got into a little bit more of a racy match than they needed to, and they dropped back, and that's what cost them. But here, Goring. There was the move as he went right around the outside of Bolanos, and this final lap he drove was spectacular.
And it was indeed, and those tires were up to temperature and they're up to pressures, you know, and you saw the grip he got. He made an outside pass there, which is unbelievable, in still slippery conditions.
And then we had a fireworks show that was spectacular as anything I've seen on the 4th of July anywhere. Perfect way to finish Friday Night Lights presented by Mazda.
Well, this was awesome to do this with you too, Greg. We haven't worked together in a couple of years. You know, well, our paths have been on the same path, but you've been doing this, I've been doing that, so it's great to work with you, my friend.
Absolutely, an absolute treat, a delight, as a matter of fact. Also to Hayward Wagner, fantastic job down in the pits. As Friday Night Lights, presented by Mazda, comes to a close, the Spec Miata Championship in this 52nd running of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs, presented by Garmin Verb, in the books. Congratulations to our champion. An absolutely phenomenal final few laps to Jonathan Goring and a gold medal. Well done. Thanks so much for joining us here on this Friday here and under the lights at Daytona International Speedway, folks. Lots more to come as the weekend unfolds. Thanks for joining us. Take care, everybody.